Hello and welcome back to the final tutorial in the series of 5 for OpenVDBViewer, Linux and Mac. In the previous tutorials we've looked at the application in general, we've looked at the render tab, the channels and the culling tab. In this tutorial we'll be looking at the crop tab. So I've loaded in a different VDB file. This is the explosion one, which is also available from the OpenVDB website. Just turn the VDB tree off. So this one actually has 3 channels which we can play with. We'll keep it on density for now, which as you can see is a float channel due to the single colour. So the idea of the crop tag is that tab is that we can add crop boxes to the file, so that we can chop it up, see certain sections, get rid of half of it, or whatever we want to do. So you see what I mean now when I click use crop. So if I click use crop, you can see what's happened is it's put a very small box by the origin, and it's only drawing the points within that box. So what we can do is we can change the size of this box to say 200, put that to 100 in the Y, and you'll see now it's cropping all points that lie within this box. We've got a slightly bigger box we can see, so we'll make it even bigger again. That's 50. Let's make this 60. So now we can see that literally the normal volume, which is the explosion volume, is being cropped to just that box. So now we can see inside, we can see the internals of the file. So as you saw, you can change the width, the height and the depth through these values, and then you can move it around simply by saying 20 and just setting these values, or using the scrolls to move the box in the world. This crop will work with the level of detail, so the level of detail still works to the crop. We've got the full detail there. It will work with the different channels, so you can do different channels, and it will all be cropped properly. Let's just reset the camera. So back to the crop. So at the moment we have 1 crop box added to the theme. We can add up to 3. So if we add 2, you'll see, if you can see, there's a little green box being added in the middle. So basically what will happen is when we create this crop box, it will draw every point inside either of them, so either the blue one or the green one. So to handle multiple crop boxes, at the moment you can see we are setting values for the first crop box. If we choose the second crop box, we can now set the values for that crop box. So let's create 80 high, and let's make it fairly wide. And let's also move it up to say that. So now the file is being cropped to these 2 boxes, and you can do exactly the same with 3. So again, just 3, and let's place this one slightly to the right. Give it much larger width and a much larger depth, and move up. So this way you can build up sections, and you can see in more detail the data that's actually internal to the volume, and not just the data on the outside that you would see normally, like this. So this is your standard data, and then you can see individual components that you'd like to see. So that's the idea of the standard static crop box. Another idea you can use is you can actually scan the model. So obviously at the moment we've just had a box take a chunk out of the model. What we can do is we can scan it, and we can scan it either the X, the Y or the Z axis. So we'll start on the X, and you simply just hit scan, and the application will automatically create a crop box the full size of the bounding box. So you'll see we're in the bounding box, and we'll slowly move across the file. So now what we can see is we can see the internal information. Let's just make this a bit bigger. You see the internal information. So if, for example, you scan this, you could actually see maybe where the errors are, where some problem points are that don't look quite right with the rest of them. And I say you can do this in the Y. You can see it's now cropping that in the Y. And you can do it in the Z as well. So you can see it from all angles, and it will scan the entire length of the model. Now what you can do, if you see a issue with some of the points, you can pause it mid-scan, zoom in, have a look, see what you want to do, so we can see there's a bit of white there. And then you can resume the scan as well. So maybe it wasn't quite as bad as you thought. Now, something else you can do is when you get to a certain point in the scan and you see something you want to check out in more detail, or maybe there's something that's just slightly disappeared, you can pause it, and you use this slider here to then manually move the scan along and just let it go. So say we saw something, say it's scanning, we see something slightly, but we've just missed it, we can then just bring it back and we can have a look and hopefully find the problem that we're looking for, and you can resume it as before. So when you stop, it just goes back to where it was. So move back to the X. There's just the final thing now is the scan options. So if we click start on the scan, we can change a few things about the scan. We can change the width of it. So in each of the X, Y, and Z, you can change how wide the actual box will be. So at the moment it's at 2.5, so it's 10. Much wider box. You see a lot more detail and a larger chunk of the model being scanned. And finally, we can change the scan speed, so we can speed it up, which we can get quite a nice effect. This is the explosion one, so it's quite a nice sort of visual effect actually, almost as if the smoke is moving. Obviously it's not, but you can slow it right down. Obviously all this scan works with the different channels, so that's the vector channel, and it also works with vectors, so you can add the vectors on top like so, and you get exactly the same effect, except now it's obviously the vectors being cropped as well. So let's just change that to 20, nice big one, and you've still got full functionality of just doing it if you wish. That's it, that's all the features within the OpenVDBViewer for Linux and Mac. As I say, there are links to my blog of setting up the library, setting up the application itself will eventually be on there. I'm still working on that one. But there's lots of documentation on this within the file. Look at the readmes. Any questions, send me an email. But really, have a play with it, see what you think. And yeah, thanks very much for watching.